what dominated all of our morning today was Congress's Sonia Gandhi, who was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate for the third time. And this time it appears the questioning went on for about 2 hours and she has not been called back again. So is this an end of questioning for Sonia Gandhi or the Gandhi family, Rahul and Sonia together? That of course we've got to wait and see, but it's not yet a point of relief for the Gandhi family, as the ED will start trial in the National Herald case soon. So for now, we understand that and we saw the scenes right after Sonia went in. Today as well, there was huge showdown, massive protests. You had Congress leaders calling this satyagraha out on the streets there in Dharna, condemning ED summons, saying that this is the BJP's tactic to arm twist central agencies and muscle the voice of the opposition. So we've been hearing this for quite a while now, and of course their concerns need to be noted, considering that you have several opposition leaders today, nobody from the BJP, at least so far. None of the BJP leaders extensively have been pursued by the Enforcement Directorate. So we're specifically speaking about opposition leaders, a whole bunch of them who are currently under the ED scanner. So here the opposition party, especially the Congress party, they're condemning ED's summons, saying that this is unfair. This is a way to arm twist the opposition. But my question here, I always wonder that have the Congress party members, rank and file, come out in protest if there was another leader summoned by the Enforcement Directorate? Congress leaders, many of them, Chidambaram, his son, DK Shivkumar, just to name a few here, but the many Congress leaders have been probed by the Enforcement Directorate. We never saw the Congress party unite in this way and protest. We saw opposition leaders of many parties, be it the TMC, be it the southern parties, many regional parties as well, who the Enforcement Directorate has investigated, the opposition leaders, but we didn't see this kind of opposition unity for them. So when it comes to the Gandhi family, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, it seems like the entire Congress unit, which otherwise is always bickering and falling out, have internal issues often, have come together united in solidarity for one person, that is Sonia Gandhi, and Rahul Gandhi, of course. For two people of the Gandhi family, it seems like they've all come together. But we didn't see the same kind of enthusiasm that they showed when other leaders or came out to protest in the same fashion when other opposition leaders were called by the Enforcement Directorate or probed by them. DK Shivkumar, the Congress's strongman in Karnataka, is in and out of the office, the ED, IT, he's got everything tailing him. But the Congress has not commented a word. Not a word has been spoken on DK Shivkumar and the cases, corruption cases against him. So yeah, so these are questions being asked on all the might of the Congress being thrown behind the Sonia Gandhi and behind the Gandhi family, only to protect them at this point, even before the ED investigation is completed. Remember, it's an Enforcement Directorate, a central agency which has to be bereft of any political influence. One can accuse the ED of being influenced by the BJP, the ruling party, but at the end of it, they are carrying out a probe which probes into misappropriation of funds, and it's their duty for them to be probing this kind of unscrupulous money trail. So if you're going to be blaming them for doing their duty, then one must think twice. But again, valid protests by the Congress saying that only opposition leaders are being targeted and not the BJP, because that's also the case at the same time. All right, so that said, you have now the case is now being investigated. Like I said, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, both of them have given similar answers as per what we hear from the ED sources. They've said, in fact, they've shifted the entire onus of the money trail on Motilal Vora, who is the ex-treasury. He is no more. He's a late Congress leader who is very loyal to the Gandhi family. He's passed away, and now they have told the Enforcement Directorate that Motilal Vora had handled all the transactions. They are not aware of it. Again, hard to believe, because at the end of it, Young Indian, which is a company that bought over AJL, Associated Journals Limited, Young Indian stakeholder, major stakeholders are Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, 38% each. So if they don't know the money trail, and a person who had a small share in the company, Motilal Vora, had all information about the shares and of the money trail itself, that's very surprising. So if you want to know the case in a gist, Young Indian is a company owned by Sonia and Rahul Gandhi. They bought over AJL, which is a publishing house for National Herald newspaper. So AJL had debt of almost 90 crore rupees, and Young Indian, owned by the Gandhis, bought over AJL and said, we'll clear your debt of 90 crore rupees. But Young Indian as a company itself had no money. It had barely 5 lakhs as basic, funds in that company's coffers for it to start off. How was that company with no money? It was barely 5 months old. How did it take over AGL with 90 crore debt and promise to clear out all that debt without any money? Where did that money come from? A lot of missing links here which the ED is trying to probe, and of course Congress saying that this is vendetta politics. Now I'm going to cut across to this big breaking news that Mithun Chakraborty has given us. It certainly comes as a surprise, because Mithun Chakraborty, we know he's a loose cannon, he says all sorts of things, he's an actor at the end of it, so he knows how to grab attention and eyeballs. Mithun Chakraborty says that 38 TMC leaders, 38 TMC MLAs are in touch with him, out of which 21 of them are very in constant communication with the BJP. So what does this mean? It raises a lot of questions on the lines of what happened in Maharashtra or Madhya Pradesh or Karnataka, where the government fell and the BJP took over. Will that be another situation that we are going to see in West Bengal? Is this going to be a collapse of the TMC government in West Bengal? Obviously, this may be too soon to say. We can't go face value with what Mithun Chakraborty is saying, but this is a big statement. If he's saying 38 TMC MLAs are in close touch with him, then one can only imagine what kind of tensions this has led to within the TMC as a party. So Mamata Banerjee had a sweeping victory. Out of the 294 assembly seats, she won 216, and BJP from a bare minimum, a hardly few seats, or I think if I'm not wrong, it was 2 seats in the previous assembly elections, and this assembly elections they leaps and bounds grew in might in West Bengal and got a whopping 75 seats in the assembly elections. 75 seats from barely 1 or 2 is stupendous, undoubtedly. But again, a lot of talk was that BJP will win, BJP will have a huge victory in West Bengal this time. They managed to make inroads, etc. That did not happen, even though they significantly grew in strength. But the sweeping victory was Mamata Banerjee. She managed 216 seats out of the 294 assembly. So yeah, 38 TMC MLAs in touch with BJP now obviously raises questions on how long will the TMC government in West Bengal last. TMC has responded to this, saying this is ridiculous. Mithun Chakraborty is just trying to grab eyeballs. He is just being his nonsense self, that he's just saying whatever he wants to. He does not know what he's talking about. They obviously deny any contact with any BJP leaders. Yeah, so he said the TMC, they're saying. So Mithun Chakraborty also commented on the recent arrest of Partha Chatterjee. So basically this has all started with Partha Chatterjee. TMC is very close, TMC minister, very close aide of Mamata Banerjee. He's been embroiled in a scam, a school's recruitment scam in Bengal. I did mention to you yesterday as well. 21 crores of cash that they found in a house of his close aide, Partha's close aide, a model actor, Arpita Mukherjee. So now that the ED is investigating this case, it appears that many other TMC leaders are right now worried if they'll also be pulled in by the Enforcement Directorate. So an extension of this is Mithun Chakraborty making a statement that 38 MLAs are in touch with us. So one can only imagine if this is now suddenly Partha's case has destabilized and created tensions within the TMC fully at this point. So their prospects itself as a stable government comes under question with these kind of statements being made, and of course with Partha's allegation of corruption. All right, a quick word on the Karnataka murder. There's a lot of talk about how this man, a BJP worker, BJP Yuva Morcha leader in Karnataka's Dakshina Kannada, was murdered. He was hacked to death by 3 miscreants who were bike-borne, came into the Mangaluru area with Kerala number plates. The KL number plate on their bikes is what the locals say they've spotted. So Kerala number plates, 3 bikes, men with machetes have hacked this BJP worker to death. It happened late last night, and this has led to a huge uproar in Karnataka's coastal region, Dakshina Kannada. Remember, again, Karnataka otherwise is quite a moderate state, but it appears that this the coastal area of Karnataka particularly, that's always been so. It's not about BJP coming to power now. It's always been so that coastal areas of Karnataka are very polarized, extremely polarized, especially the Hindus, Muslims are always at loggerheads. So in a region like this, if a Hindu BJP worker has been hacked you can only imagine the kind of uproar. So the allegation here is that maybe some of the Muslims may have done it, especially those belonging to the PFI or the SDPI. They may be involved in the case. Then there's another, the suspicion here is that there could be a poster that's been put up on social media. The man who was murdered, he's allegedly put up a poster on social media where it shows that he's supporting Kanhaiya Lal, the man who was killed for supporting Nupur Sharma. So this poster could be the reason why he was hacked to death. Again, this is just an allegation, and it also is worrying because we're seeing a trend where people supporting Nupur Sharma in whatever way are receiving death threats, and some of them have been killed as well. So could this be a case linked to that? Again, a suspicion here. But now the BJP promising to act on this. Karnataka government is right now communicating with the Kerala government. They're trying their best to try and find those culprits at the earliest. So yeah, that's that. A quick word as I wrap here on Supreme Court today giving unconditional or undisputed powers to the Enforcement Directorate in the PMLA Act, saying that if the Enforcement Directorate under the PMLA Act suspects of corruption, of any leader or any person of corruption and money laundering, they can immediately arrest them and attach their assets. A lot of the opposition leaders had approached the Supreme Court saying the PMLA was harsh and that that the ED was misusing its powers in arresting leaders and attaching their property, and this was not right, and this should be changed. The law itself should be changed. The ED should not have such powers. Supreme Court today struck down all those petitions, saying that the ED has all the powers to arrest if they feel that there is suspicion of corruption. And more importantly, this also means that seeking bail, anybody who has the ED on their tail, seeking bail will be difficult if you're not able to. In fact, the court says specifically that you've got to have enough reason to give bail to the person. If not, arrest should be followed. So yeah, full unconditional powers to the Enforcement Directorate. This comes amid ED investigating Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. So yeah, a lot of worry among the opposition leaders. Like I said, large bunch of opposition leaders are being now investigated.